Good evening and namaskar. The first 1,000 days is a period of rapid physical growth and accelerated mental development and offers a unique opportunity to build lifelong health and intelligence as the baby in the womb is dependent on the mother for nutrition as well as mental, physical, and emotional growth. The treatment and the nutrition of patient in the first 1,000 days makes a difference to the rest of mothers and baby's life. I, Tushar Atwad, on behalf of Mayor Vitabiotics, I am pleased to welcome and thank all the delegates who have registered and are attending this webinar with us today. Mayor Vitabiotics is a global business partner of Vitabiotics UK, headquartered in London, which is UK's #1 and world's fastest growing nutraceutical company. Dr. Kartal Singh Lalwani is the founder and chairman of Vitabiotics. He's a bioscience inventor who has successfully commercialized his own inventions. Mayor Vitabiotics is one of the leading pharmaceutical manufacturers in India. Mayor has created its unique portfolio of products for addressing the unmet needs of mothers during pregnancy and lactation, and in nutrition in growing children. The first 1,000 days refers to the period that begins with pregnancy planning and goes up to when the child reaches her second birthday. Each day of this journey is special and influences the way a mother and child nutrition, also its development and growth. This session will guide all the doctors about ensuring that every child and every mother must have the access to information to create an optimal environment during the first 1,000 days for a better tomorrow. For this, Mayor offers Calcimax 500, which is promoted in pregnancy and lactation, Calcimax Total, which is in preeclampsia, Calcimax P suspension, which has been promoted in growing children, and Well Woman, which provides all-round nutrition for women. Further on, today we have Mayor Vitabiotics provides a unique platform to connect, engage, and create an avenue towards robust exchange of information on first 1,000 days under the guidance of the leading eminent speakers, Dr. Abhay Shetty and Dr. Kalpana Shetty. I welcome you all. Dr. Abhay Shetty is Senior Gynecologist at Amaya Clinic. Amaya Clinic has advanced technology of laparoscopy and test tube baby center. Dr. Abhay Shetty is excellent in the professional of life-saving surgeries and earned the degree of PGD-MLE, PGD-HRL from prestigious Institute of Mumbai. Dr. Abhay Shetty is also active participant in marathons and triathlons. Dr. Abhay Shetty has done MSc in sociology and psychology. Dr. Kalpana Shetty is a qualified medical practitioner and social pediatrics. Dr. Kalpana Shetty practices at Amaya Clinic based at Panvel. She is pioneer in kangaroo mother care therapy and also taking care of immunization and in promoting parenting. Today, both the doctors are going to interact on first 1,000 days. Now I hand over the session to our dynamic speaker for the day, Dr. Abhay Shetty. Dr. Abhay Shetty, over to you.
Thank you, Tushar. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for introducing me well. Well, very frankly, today is very interesting, and I would say a lot of research is being done, and we are trying to find out how we can best manage the present situation. I'll be speaking for 20 minutes, followed by Kalpana, who will be 20 minutes, and then we'll be having a session on question and answers. So we'll cover it. Very frankly, this topic is too big, and we have reached a place looking for solutions now from the nutritional aspects, because we are very certain now that the diseases that we are facing today are because of the diet probably that we consume. And we are also aware now that the diseases that we face today have their origins in the intrauterine life and the first 2 years of the fetal life. So what makes me say so? So first we'll go through the slides slowly, and here we can see that pregnancy is the first 270 days, then the first year, the second year, and that is how it comes to 1,000 days. Okay, so I will be sharing whatever I see in my clinical practice as well. So the whole concept probably started when the psychiatrists found out that some patients were having some psychiatric problems as they go on in their life ahead. Depression, anxiety, and no two individuals would face it same. And they came up with a thought process saying that probably it's the first event that the human life experiences which is traumatic is probably the childbirth. And that is how probably it started. People started thinking laterally and started thinking to find solutions. And that's how the delivery process was evolved, where we started having water births. And after the water birth, it was thought that the things would go down, but probably it was not as successful. So nowadays we don't have water births as many. It didn't pick up. It promised a lot, but didn't pick up. Or what it started was something which was phenomenal, because it started us to make us think laterally. So now here we say we are now still wondering what could be the reason, what could be the factors which bring about certain person to be susceptible to diseases. So let us say India, we are let us say a diabetic capital of the world, and we have so much of diabetes in us. So a thought came up, whether it's genes, whether it's the food that we eat, whether it's our culture, whether it's the thought process, whether it's the social life that we live, or it was a period of starvation that is a thrifty gene that is causing us. So there were a lot of things that are coming up. Today focus more on the role of micronutrients. Macronutrients are, as being carbohydrate and fats. Okay, they are the known to cause malnutrition, and in all forms we know that underweight, not if we don't have adequate vitamins and minerals as well, we are going to face this in our development. What is more important is there is a critical period. We are now identifying that the nerves and the nervous system that develops has a critical period. And this critical period would be somewhere around this first 1,000 days. Because myelination of the brain development, the synapses, the connections, and the development of the centers, all the sensory motor neuron development, all occurs in this first 1,000 days. So now we have to concentrate more on this 1,000 days, how we can improve, how we can bring about change in the way of that we lead, that we advise our pregnant women to eat and to consume, so that they get a better outcome. So here we will go ahead. So why 1,000 days? As I said, that is a critical period, and when there is a critical period, you know that even after you give after 1,000 days, if I try to correct, it may not happen. So we have something called as critical period, and we have something called as a less critical period, where later on, if you are to substitute these micronutrients, maybe the damage would not be as much. Well, I'll also ask you a question. Is nutrition all? Does it mean that if I were to prepare a capsule containing all these micronutrients in one and give it to the woman to eat or to swallow, and also complement her with all the carbohydrates, proteins, and fat that she needs, will I get a healthy baby at the end which will have no problems? Well, no. Because human interaction, human life, or human living is not only composed of a hardware that is called a body. It also needs a software, and this software would be the interaction, the social interaction, the learning process, the parenting process, and the upbringing of the child and the environment that the child lives in. Imagine today a child who is born in Afghanistan. Okay, the thought process, the bringing up is much different. From what the child eats, what it gets to eat, from what it is able to survive, and what it is fed, what concepts are being fed to the child, is what we see at the end of the result. We see today happening in Afghanistan. It is not happening overnight. Nothing happens overnight. It's a period of time that has gone, and how these thought processes are propagated, and that is also important. So it's a gestalt. What does gestalt psychology said? Sum of the parts is not equal to the same whole. So if I were to give all the nutrients, even then I have to also focus on the other aspect. First, today we are going to go ahead with nutrition, and we all know that since obstetricians, or as the first persons to encounter women who are bringing the new life into this world, we have to know, or we are trying to now inculcate in them some concepts. These concepts, do you think the patients are aware? They are not aware. So we have to tell them, we do counsel them that the brain development starts developing, and brain before birth it is developing. Almost, I would say 70% of the brain development occurs in intrauterine. It's only the 30% of the development that's going to occur in the later on. And brain is the, let us say, most important CPU, or it's like a CPU of the computer. It's like a main data where the whole life span of the child is all written down. So here you can see that from how the neurons are going to go to billions of neurons, and how for that we are going to need folic acid, iron, zinc, proteins, omega-3 fatty acids. So here it is there, the well-being of the mother and the child. We are always into it. We do advise about that. We are going to look into why preeclampsia occurs, because today we also know that preeclampsia and other diseases are a lack of micronutrients in the mother. So I would say that rather than starting at childbirth or when the woman is trying to become pregnant, we should more focus on the adolescent as well. Because adolescents are the girls, or adolescent girls are the females who are soon, later on down the line, going to be mothers. If they have, let us say, problems with smoking, alcohol, well, that has to be brought down, and that has to be curtailed at that point of time. They have to know what are the toxicities. They have to have a rich nutrient diet. Then I shouldn't be anemic, and this is what we have to see. Because healthy mother finally is going to give rise to a healthy child, and obviously where there is poverty, we have to correct that, and that is require economic interventions. So here we are now speaking about not only the person who has come to me, but also the culture in which she lives, the society in which she lives, the economic situation of the family, and advice has to be given accordingly. So how much weight here is this, which says that we do not want excess weight gain also, less also. So first to 5 months, fetal weight is less than 4. From 5th to 9th month, that is, it is about 3 kgs. So roughly around 3. In average, I would say Indian setup, it would be somewhere around 2.5 kg. I would be happy, because 2,500 grams, the baby would be mature enough to come out and breathe and sort of maintain its systems. The maternal weight gain also is around 12 to 15 kg, but roughly we take it as 11 kgs to 12 kgs. That should be more. Anything more than that is obesity, and we have to look for diabetes in such women. So gestational diabetes would be a concern for me. So medical care to be taken during pregnancy. So early prenatal care, yes, prenatal visits are important in today's days, where we are facing a peculiar situation with corona, where we are cut down on prenatal visits. So here we would advise women to go on reading and go on to the net and try to find out good sites, and we do recommend them some sites where they can read about micronutrients, and they educate themselves. They know what they are in for and what they should be doing, and they should be taken under our regular care. So though we have cut down the visits for prenatal care, we also are taking care of them online, and we try to help them out with their regular checkups. So this is the diet chart. You can see the diet chart that we say, and obviously the first 3 months there will be some amount of nausea and vomiting. So obviously we would take care of that, asking them to eat whatever is possible. Here the important part, it is not so easy as it is shown on the chart, because there are many cultural differences, there are many food tastes, people come from different backgrounds, they have different ideas, and obviously we have to see to it that the pregnancy and the diet that they eat is to their taste. So here, protein, whole grains, non-starchy vegetables, and fruits. So this is the basic guideline that we tell them to go through and read for themselves, and try to include the macronutrient parts. And obviously the micronutrients, we know that they are going to be deficient in the diet. Iron has to be supplemented, calcium will be supplemented, folic acid will be supplemented, because supplementation has to be part of our diet, because diet will not have adequate amount of micronutrients that are needed, iodine and all those things. So should be avoided. So why so? Raw or rare meats, liver, soft cheese, unpasteurized milk. We are worried about infections, torch infections, because they can this raw meat eating can give rise to diseases, bacteria which are not very well cooked, and can go in and cause diseases. So we are not very happy about them. They also got food poisoning. Some fishes can really be bad, and I remember cases which come with terrible vomiting, jeopardizing the pregnancy continuation. Staying hydrated is important, especially in the first part of pregnancy, because in first 3 months, there's a lot of hyperemesis. Some women do have a lot of vomiting, nausea, food taste, craving. All this is not good. But at the same time, we advise them to have a lot of liquids at least. So they, even if they're not hungry, if they keep themselves hydrated, that's good enough. Because lack of fluid is again going to cause thickening of the blood, and that's going to be not good for the baby flow. So we have to give them a lot of fluids. I sleep in an area which is high humidity, so we sweat a lot. So again, the women have to drink a lot of water, and that is what at least 10 cups, or at least I would say, I would not look at the amount that they're drinking, but they must be passing enough amount of urine, and that should be good enough for them. Omega-3 fatty acids, DHA, EPA, and ALA, they're the building blocks. We know there's a lot of controversy about omega-6 and omega-3. I'll come to that later. But right at this minute, omega-3 fatty acids are good. It is much be supplemented again, because not much is present in the food. It is only available in fish or in some bushes or some leafy vegetables. So that is what has to be taken in. And daily allowance is as much as 200 milligram per day. So that is substantial. And you can see flax seeds, avocados, walnuts. Okay, walnuts also contains omega-6. Okay, omega-6 fatty acids. So we do know that the natural consumption of diet will have some positives and some negatives. Obviously, we know that lack of omega-3 fatty acids can lead to autism, AD, attention deficit hyperactive disorders, or they can be leading to cancers, lot of many things, polycystic ovarian disease. So as I said in my initial part of the talk, that a lot of things are now being focused on nutrients. So nutritional therapy, I would say, is coming in a big way. Iron, obviously we know iron is much important for hemoglobin, for the mother as well, but it also known that it is known to play a lot of vital role in the immune system development of the fetus, a cofactor in various enzymes. So it has to be there. Not only the iron that is required, but iron stores. So iron stores are also very important, and iron deficiency can lead to fetal mortality, morbidity, as well as maternal part. So it could cause low birth weight babies, we know, and it's a key nutrient for the fetus. So it's very important, and that is why iron has to be supplemented. We cannot rely only on diet, because we have seen that diet only 10% is going to be absorbed. Even when we give oral iron, absorption is a problem. So we have to supplement iron. Though there have been studies which say, why do you have to supplement iron? Only if it is deficient, you should supplement. But things are changing around now. We know that we have to give them a good iron support. 30 to 60 milligram, okay, plus folic acid and natural sources, yes, red meat, poultry, seafood, and nuts being green vegetables and whole grains. But again, we have to understand that supplementation is important, and we cannot do without supplementation for iron. For at least in India, I don't know abroad, but in India, we have to supplement diet of a pregnant woman, because even a good British diet, that is what was told to me, doesn't have enough amount of iron, and only 10% of that is going to be absorbed. Folic acid, there's no need to speak about folic acid. We all know, but important part is folic acid should be started prior to patient getting pregnant, because the nervous development or the neural tube, by the time the patient knows she is pregnant, the neural tube is already developed. So if there is a lack of folic acid in her, that the neural tube defects are going to occur. So in our pre-pregnancy counseling, or that is what I said, that adolescents should be involved in these talks, or adolescents should start there having healthy diet, having enough amount of folic acid, because folic acid is required, and very much proved that it is required for the development of the nervous system. So here we have longer duration of folic acid supplementation during pregnancy having beneficial effects. We know gestational diabetes mellitus, we know it's going down. So we have to think about preterm births, we have to give folic acids, and we have to see the beneficial effects of folic acid. Zinc, another thing, again, we know that it's important for neurodevelopment and developmental deficits, and in the fetus induced by infection. So we know zinc is required for development of the immune system. Factor, it is very much required by the immune system to develop, and we also in preterm births, is preventing preterm births and gestational diabetes, and it is coming a very important part of the micronutrient. Iodine, thyroxine. How can the body metabolism run without thyroxine? And iodine is very much required. You know the consequences of iodine deficiency. We have had patients who had undergone radioactive iodine therapy. We have had patients who are on antithyroid drugs, and now they have come to us, and we are very particular about them because they have to receive adequate amount of iodine, otherwise they are going to abort. Very frankly, there is a life at stake, and we have to have iodine in our diet. As we know that the iodine cannot be available, and we have had places or centers where or belts where we know that the iodine is deficient, and we can see lot many people coming up with neural deficits. So fortification. Now here comes the role of the society. Here comes the role of the governments in providing the micronutrients and iodizing of the salt. Okay, you have to have the salt which is iodized, so that the which is commonly consumed, so automatically iodine will be given to these women. Selenium is okay, it is required in fertility treatments. We have seen that selenium, adding of some simple nutrient, okay, like selenium, improves the sperm count. You see that the sperms are not good, but give it a treatment for 3 months, and after 3 months you do a semen count, and it's good because we are giving them micronutrients, we are giving them antioxidant, and we see that this is good. So here, during all these elements that I'm mentioning, they are required in a very small quantity. That's why they are called micronutrients. They are calories, proteins, fats. They will be micronutrients. But here we have vitamin D3. Again, very importantly, it's coming back. And we have seen that it is being implicated. Its role is implicated in gestational diabetes, low birth weight, preeclampsia. So wherever you see this is lacking, you find that certainly it is improving the life of the women. We are seeing less number of cases of preeclampsia now than what I used to see. This is probably because the society has learned and has adapted to the supplementation. Now we come to calcium in pregnancy. We all know calcium supplementation in pregnancy has the potential to reduce gestational outcomes. There's no doubt. Calcium is required. It's not only for the fetus but also for the maternal side. That we have seen that is going down in practice now, and that is only because as the practice, the acceptance of the society to follow the clinics and to consume whatever is given, whatever is advised. That is why we see that this is going down. So preterm delivery is also less in calcium. And now there is some controversy here about the milk or the dairy products being available for calcium. In today's world, I will not go into the controversy because there are many people who are following vegan diets. But what has been seen is whatever you do, supplementation is important because from your diet, you're not going to get adequate amount of calcium. So supplementation with calcium should be a good option. So here we have products which are good and which should take care of the women who need calcium. Vitamin B, no need to say because vitamin B and nervous system, we all know that lowering homocysteine levels can ensure favorable pregnancy, and that role is also taken by tetramethylfolate, also as by folic acid, vitamin B12 and vitamin B6. Okay, pyridoxine is required. Vitamin C, obviously, we know that vitamin C supplementation will help in women also in stress urinary incompetence. We also know that it competes for placental receptors with glucose. So it's good for iron absorption. Vitamin C is most of the time prescribed along with iron, so that the absorption is good. And it is also known to reduce the risk of preterm premature rupture of membranes and term premature rupture of membranes, PPROM and PROM. Vitamin K again required, very much seriously required because we want the blood to clot. It is important part, may lead to hemorrhage. We do give vitamin K when the patient presents with antepartum hemorrhage. It is also part of treatment, also a part of prophylaxis. So even after the child is born, we do recommend vitamin K to the child. Copper, again, very small amount of copper is required. This was not known, but thanks to the research that is happening, and that may lead to pancytopenia, hypodenal anemia. So copper is required. It is required for the hair growth and for tensile strength of the fetal membranes because PPROM it will occur. So obviously copper would be there, and that would sort of help in I will say reducing the fetal mortality. Exercise, as I said, not only diet but exercise is also needed. So what is put in the stomach has to be sent or deployed in the proper places the target organs, and for that regular exercises are important. So it's important also that because patients land up in premature labor when they try to overdo that. So it's important that they do the right and the guidance. They do yoga, pranayama, and also use that the normal delivery is facilitated by relaxing the outlet of the pelvis, and it can help in postpartum recovery. Obviously, need not to say smoking, alcohol, drugs. They are going to cause vasoconstriction. Smoking and alcohol, both of them are dangerous. I had seen a patient of fetal alcohol syndrome. Okay, the mother was addicted to alcohol. In the between the labor process, she used to excuse herself to go to the bathroom, and her husband would be there, and he used to give her alcohol. And what we found after delivery was baby was jittery. Somehow in those days I was reading about such vague things, and I advised the pediatrician because they were all started thinking about the baby is jittery, and those days the baby, even today the baby is not nursery but with the mother. So I used to find out that this baby is jittery and this mother was not very much behaving normally. She herself seemed to be in withdrawal, and that clicked to me, and I spoke to the residents. They spoke to their bosses, and finally we were able to diagnose fetal alcohol syndrome. Well, it has macrognathia. There are many things associated with alcohol syndrome. So alcohol, drugs, limit caffeine. So those who are taking coffee and tea should stop taking them when they start getting pregnant or they're planning pregnancy, because fetal spectrum disorder is known for alcohol disorder is known for the fetus. Flu vaccination, well, yes, certainly recommended. I do recommend for patients who do get influenza-like symptoms or who are repeatedly getting infected. But whether to give it to everybody, well, that's a question. It can be given, and it is protecting the mother. Basically, to protect the fetus. So that's what we are more interested in. So even if mother is not very much affected, I would say still it would be a good idea to give flu vaccine if they can afford it, and that will give protection to the fetus. Reduce stress, get plenty of sleep. Easy for me to say than done. Women today are working, and in today's times when the jobs are not very easy to come by, and people are working hard to hold on and retain to their jobs. So women are also supposed to be working online. They are much stressed. So stress is very good for the fetus. But at the same time, knowing that they are pregnant, the companies do take care, and we do give certificates to that effect. I've seen that the companies do oblige. When to call the doctor? No. This slide would be more for the pregnant women rather than for the doctors. And we know that there are times when they should contact us. They may contact us having false pains also, but it's all right. But rather than sitting at home and trying to solve the problem yourself or thinking that this is nothing, they must rather contact us. So this is a slide which is very important, which is I would say a synopsis of whatever I have been speaking. So in the short term, as you can see, micronutrient deficiency, it will cause miscarriage, stillbirth, birth defects, small foresight, gestational preterm birth. But this is only in the short term, and this is only what the gynecologist spectrum would see. But in the long term, which a physician, pediatrician, physician, ophthalmologist, psychiatrist, and all branches would see, they would see altered growth and body composition. They would see compromised cardiopulmonary metabolism and function, poor neurodevelopment and cognition. So this is what the deficiency of micronutrients would cause. Breastfeeding, yes, breastfeeding, we promote breastfeeding. Okay, and this is a natural way. So obviously, in our clinic, there's a practice that as the women start coming to term, okay, so somewhere around 5th or 6th month, we speak to her about breastfeeding, and I refer her to my wife, pediatrician, and she examines the female for the inversion of the nipples, and we have found quite many patients who would have otherwise faced the problem post-delivery. They are recognized in the delivery, and I have been taught, and it was a very important, I will say, a statement. It was an important learning process for me when my seniors used to tell me that we must examine the females for their breasts, for the nipples, for their adequacy of development, for the nursing of the child, and also for encouraging mothers to have breastfeeding. So these are the hormones which are responsible for milk production: prolactin by and large, oxytocin, cortisol, and these are the breastfeeding benefits, which she will be speaking more than me. So I will not speak more on that. So this for the mother, it is good. News and nutrition and ease of digestion. Okay, so this is breastfeeding. So breastfeeding, I'll not speak much with the formula milk and all that, but that I'll leave it to my wife. And take home message. So what is the take home message? Journey from conception to parturition is complex. One must insist on regular antenatal time to monitor the fetal growth clinically. Okay, and emotional and compassion counseling much more in today's days, because we know that the origin of the disease is going to be in the womb, and that is why it's important to take care but also to educate the woman. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tushar. You can take over by the time I change the slides.
Yes. Doctor, very well, you have covered the role of micronutrients and the role of nutrition during this pregnancy. Well, request to kindly change the presentation.
Yeah, I will be doing that. Two minutes, sir, Tushar? Just a minute.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, able to see?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. So now I hand over the session to our dynamic speaker for the day, Dr. Kalpana Shetty. Dr. Kalpana Shetty, over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Tushar. Thank you, Mayor. And I really want to thank my job, my profession as a pediatrician, because I'm a cause and matter for this 1000 days, which are very important one. As antenatal care is taken properly, my job becomes very easy. But it's that way more responsible thing. Woman, she has been taken and nurtured properly, but giving her and promoting her for the breastfeeding becomes a job. Females that time are relaxed and they want, okay, I have given a birth to baby, now relax. And we see a lot of time the patients, especially after the cesarean section, are a little reluctant to breastfeed the kids. And we see the child is not latching properly, going for the malnutrition, other infection problem. But in Sanskrit, they are very nicely mentioned. I would like to recite few shlokas in Sanskrit. Kshira nira nidhistestu stanayo shira purakaha sadaiva shubhago balo bhavatyesha mahabala. Means, I will explain in Marathi. तुझ्या स्तनातील अन्न आणि पाण्याचा साठा पुरेसे दूध उत्पन्न करणारा हो. हे भाग्यवान बालक म्हणून नेहमी सुदृढ होईल. पायो मृतस्वमं पीत्वा कुमारस्ते शुभानने दीर्घा मयूर वाप्तो तू देवा प्राप्यम मृतम यथा. जैसे कि भगवान ने अमृत का प्राशन करके उनको बहुत अच्छा ताकतवर शरीर मिला है और उनको अच्छा आयुष्य मिला है, दीर्घायुष्य मिला है. वैसे ही आपको भी this female has been given thing ki, you will get that type of milk, so your baby will be nurtured properly. So what a beautiful words is actually mentioned in our Vedas, but we are not looking at it, and we are just following, what are the things which has to be done. But if you see during our pregnancy, when the mother is given the opportunity, initially only when she is pregnant, my job is to tell her how breastfeeding is not a difficult thing. and we will assist you whenever you still cannot turn your back. You cannot turn yourself even after the normal delivery or after the cesarean section. And the first milk of a mother is called as colostrum, and which is very important for development of the child's immunity. Next. See, the nutrition is still a leading cause under nutrition throughout the world, but it is really reversible. It was said in this shlokas. Why so? There are so many things is given in this colostrum will give the strength, immunity, and the whatever the package that mother is going to give your child is going to support the child's life, and is very important for that mother, because a lot of practices are there. So they think this formula is not very good. My daughter is too weak now. How she can feed the child? You are not giving, because so many times after the cesarean section, she's on NBM, milk by mouth. And if you are not giving anything to eat, then my daughter is not getting enough food. So how she will get milk? So these are the things which doctor has to be very compassionately and tell them, oh, this can happen. This, though your child is not able to get feed, let the child suckle on the breast. So the this suckling reflex itself produces the milk. Early the suckling, more the milk she gets. We always face this as the double burden of the malnutrition. Not only we see the patients of malnourishment, but this is a malnourished patients. And how to cope up with this is our headache nowadays, because mothers, they were on, we have seen literally few mothers, they were always on the laptop, not getting a time to cook themselves, and they used to order a lot of things on the Swiggies. And because of that, she was not getting enough nutrition. The patient was with us, she delivered, and that time before delivering, her hemoglobin was 5 milligram only. And then we literally had to give her thing. And she told us very frankly, oh, I was getting this coupon because my company had provided me. And through Swiggy, we get 50% this, and the quality food, they don't bother about it. Our job is to educate them. This is not the only thing what you are going to get, but the taste is only part of the food. The nutrition part has to be really addressed well. So at least over 40 nutritions, they are important for our proper health. Their macro and the micronutrients are there. We always think about calorie, proteins, and the fat, but micronutrient for the babies are also very important nowadays. That's why just after birth, though the child is taking mother's milk, we recommend at least zinc preparations and vitamin D preparations, nutrients, and of course the monitoring of the growth of the child is very important. At the end of the child, we come to know which are the parts the child is we had more. And only the nutrition is not the thing, because there are when the new thing tables of type 1 and type 2 that nutrients are there. Potassium, manganese, and magnesium and the zinc, they really are more play important role for the babies now. Zinc increases the immunity. Magnesium and the potassium, gut immunity is increased, and the overall performance of the babies and the synaptic membrane develop stability and the development is also very important for that. They have noticed the autism and ADHD type of behavior of the kids were very common in the urban populations. Maybe they get very easy access to the preservative containing food, fast foods, and whether we have, because of that, the kids have been getting this, they are getting ADHD and this type of babies. So we have to educate on this, and essential nutrients are required. The growth, when the important part of our monitoring of the babies is not only giving the vaccinations, but the monitoring of the growth of the child. If the nutrients are deficient, minor elements are there, the overall growth, you will see baby is doing well. But only pediatrician can find out what are the minor things has to be corrected properly. Otherwise, so many times we see the stunting of the growth of the child, and where we are worried more. Why stunting is important? Because stunting will definitely will reduce. They will have the damage in the repair and the growth of the child, and the convalescence from any illness will be delayed. Negative violence will be there for the type 2 nutrients, and unbalanced diet, rate will be hampered, and which we as a pediatrician, they are more worried about that. How really we feel ki baby can, we think these babies can be malnourished. First, if they are very low birth weight, of course, we do face the gender biases. Low birth babies usually, they're so many times they don't cry much. If mother is not well educated and they are not told her, oh, my baby is okay, but still you have to feed your baby. And you have to see how many times she's feeding the baby. And according to that, whether the baby is gaining proper weight. So focus on the baby's growth, and the mother's mentality also matters a lot, because she's at that time, she's really low of her, she may be in the postpartum depression also. She just wants to rest. And these babies all of a sudden that come and put in the lap and tell her, oh, 2 hourly you feed your baby. And so many times you have to consider the psychology of the mother, which is very important. See, the poor feeding practices, the few of our patients, they're having some social things. Like in our culture, we don't give salt and the sugar for the 40 days after the delivery, and they follow those practices. But this poor girl, she can't have proper diet just because this food is not tasting good. At least there are the two things. Where in urban society we see that they just call Swiggy, and these people where the pizza and burger will be there on the second day on the plate. Or the mother is allowed to, oh, she is not allowed to eat these things, and then she suffers. So we had to be in the between, and we have to tell them what is the important things. When we see the baby, we have to see when the actually malnutrition has occurred, because so many times this is a very crucial window of 1,000 days. It's every child doesn't get access to pediatrician. Sometimes they're missed. Sometimes we catch hold of the child after 1,000 days, and we are so many times stuck. But we have to know from where this nutrition element has started. Undernutrition can happen early in the childhood. It can be during when first few months of the during maternal. It can be because of the maternal undernutrition. It can be because of the faulty parenting habits also. Next. The two types. Acute severe malnutrition can be there, where we had to plot a graph. We have to check how much amount of the standard deviation is there from the weight and the height of the child, and the mid circumference, mid arm child. And that is in the society when we do our camp to educate. Because usually we conduct the seminars for that, and we educate the masses accordingly. So then we have to tell about the type of food the child should be able to eat. Why nutrition is very important element now. See, eating and the proper growth of the child not only is beneficial for this child, is beneficial for the society. When these health issues become a social issue, and that really becomes a problem of the human rights. So many people don't get access to the good amount of food, good quality of the food. And this is not a part of this is not a job of the doctors only to guide them. Now the society, our politicians, that's why all environment is also very important. They should be very supportive for the growth of and the proper nutrition, proper hygiene of the society. So those 1,000 days are very impact for the child's ability, because the child is in the growing phase. The ability to grow, learn, and rise out of this poverty is given only during these 1,000 days. And afterwards, also we can support them. But this quality of the impact, what we can produce first 1,000 days, it will have the long-term beneficial effect in their life. So just initial few steps for the thousands in during these 1,000 days will give a big lift afterwards. So the babies who are malnourished in the uterus have high risk of dying in the infancy, that we know. So more likely to face lifelong cognitive and the physical benefits on the chronic health problem. This we want to concern more because we see afterwards the child is not able to there are a lot of cognitive problems. He cannot understand maths equations, few things. They cannot understand few things. And then the child mother comes, oh, despite of putting him for this costly tuition fees and everywhere after that. But so many times I see the child is anemic, and the child doesn't requires not the tuition. Child requires proper nutrition for that, and the things should be there. Practices should be there. Usually, the child is given something on and the child sits in front of TV or the mobile camera, and whatever the child is taking it, but she's also not aware what she's feeding the child, and hard to be thinking the child must be knowing. They just okay, the child is eating, but the proper good quality of the food, and that's why the education about the diet is very important. So we don't want to miss this opportunity of first 1,000 days. So for this, after 6 months of the exclusive breastfeeding of our babies, and that too is mother should take proper supplementation when she's supplementing, she's giving breastfeed. Whenever child a mother comes to me, I see to that she's taking supplement feed with the calcium, iron, and other minerals also during before. She's taking the child to the breast. Of course, she has to hydrate herself well because whenever she's going to feed her child, she's going to feel little dehydrated. She's going to feel tired. So this thing she should able to enjoy if she's having very good proper diet. Lot of things nation wants to say spend on the GDP, but nation if we spend little more time on the nutrition and counseling on this baby, our definitely GDP and the babies will be better, and this future generation will be much more better. And this is actually a very good graph, and they I think this is from the Lancet, and this they have compacted it and they have proved because of all those reviews, and they have the first 6 months of the baby's feedings techniques and 2 years of the life is how they are important for the long-term goal. So this is our health priorities, but we don't spend much on this health issues. And so if we spend more on this, our national burden on our health will be less. So let us do what we can do now. And the short stretcher mothers should be, so babies will be proper. We have to actually individualize the case, which can do as an education for the masses, but each and every child can be. So examination of the child is very important. Make for the babies are extremely important. The pediatrician PDs also should give little time for the growth monitoring of the child, and patients are very important. If you communicate to the child about communicate to the parent about the child's health, this will give the long-term outcome which cannot be matched by any supplements. So we don't want to miss this window of opportunity. Here, I really want to tell you, only nutrition is one part of a life of a child, but different stimulations what the child is, because there are a lot of neuronal connections are going to happen in fetal time and the early newborn period. But after that, the inputs of the stimulus, like we are having five senses, that has to be given to the child. So the development of the child will be better. So whatever the good auditory inputs, olfactory inputs, good taste, smell, and this should be, the child should be stimulated properly. So environment of the child plays immense role for the development of the child. So we had to take care of that also. So the society and cultural practices, society practices has to be addressed when the child is with you. Nutrition supplements, yes, we have to sometimes go for the nutrition supplements. And nowadays, I see a lot of parents, they have become, because they are media friendly, they go and read so many things. We do recommend macronutrients and some supplements, but it has to be wisely chosen and wisely recommended to the kids, because nowadays the more we are afraid of the obesity than the malnourished child and the short stature child. So kids are precocious puberty, they're getting very early menses. That is a problem what we are getting. Then the wasted of the child, wasting of the organs. And the child, because of this COVID, the kids are not playing outside. So the chances of getting, reducing their immune level, infections are very high. Kids were not going, not receiving this properly. So we have to encourage that also. I think we'll make a difference by given solutions, but I will stop here and open for discussions. Thank you, Susha.
Tushar, yes, we are through with our presentations.
Yes.
And thank you immensely.
Yes, Dr. Kalpana, very well you have covered the role of counseling and the role of micronutrient therapy and how counseling helps in how you counsel the mothers, what is basically needed to them. So, doctors, let's move on to the panel discussion. I have the first question. So, doctor, what's your advice on the best nutrition supplement uptake for mothers for the first 1,000 days journey? And ma'am, for you, what is the best advice, best nutritional update for babies in the first 1,000 days journey? So first, doctor, can you answer on it?
Yeah, thanks, Tushar. See, the thing is nutritional. I would not go start from the time the patient is pregnant, but I would rather ask them to start folic acid supplementation right from the time they're planning pregnancy. Because as I said in my talk, that by the time the patient is diagnosed to be pregnant, she already has a neural tube which is formed. It's too late to intervene. So good healthy diet would be obviously the first part. But supplementation, yes, we start with folic acid in the first trimester. And as the vomiting subsides, because we don't want to add too many of the drugs, then we will go on with iron, calcium, and selenium. Okay, so any new product comes in, DHA. So yes, we would advise that as a supplementation, and that will be there for pregnant women for the first time. Obviously, after breastfeeding and things, the pediatrician takes over. So anyway, the diet would be there. The supplements and iron and calcium would continue, but the mothers would now come in for the fetus, for the child's nutrition.
Yeah, ma'am, over to you.
Yes, Tushar, first thing I will advise mother for taking early feeding on the breast, proper latching, proper knowledge about the breastfeeding techniques. I will tell her. Second thing, when the child is taking enough milk and if the child is not gaining weight on the breastfeed, else not getting milk, whether there is a faulty technique of her, because so many times the hand milk is given to baby and then left of the thing the child is stops feeding the child. Though she thinks that she's feeding the baby is not. She's giving only the watery part of the milk, which is a core milk, and which contains a lot of calories, and the fat portion which is not given to baby. So really see how she feeds the baby. So many times I really make her sit in my cabin and want to feed the child to see how she's feeding. Second thing, when the child, I usually give them the child, of course, at that time I start micronutrients to kids to give their little immune boosting things. I do recommend vitamin D, zinc supplementation when for the newborn babies. And we continue, I advise them to continue breastfeeds. And if she's not getting enough breast milk, That time I had to advise her how she will increase her breast milk. That are the few techniques we had to tell her. Proper diet and stress-free environment is again very important. After 6 months, I usually start giving them one-to-one chart, how to have the diet. So the different cultural practices are there. According to that, I have to weigh and give the chart to the baby. And it should be a not very cumbersome things. Whatever the mother is eating from her plate, she should able to feed the child. But only the diet of the baby will be different, like liquid initially, then semi-solid and the solid food. How many times baby should pass motions? If baby is having constipation, then how she should alter the food portions in different way? How should she should increase the roughage in the diet? If baby is getting loose motion, what she should supplement extra in the diet only? And so without medicine, the child should able to manage those things. Of course, there are few nutrients in the our plate also, which will increase our immunity, gut immunity. And the gut immunity is very important because it is cross-linked with the respiratory immunities also. That's why in foreign countries where the mothers are not giving breast milk, they're formula feeding the babies. And there we see the chances of nut allergies and the allergies of different things are very common. And here in India, what we are insisting on only on the breastfeed of the baby. Uh, uh, for mother feeding the baby, we see less of the allergy. Personally, whenever I see when mother substitutes cow milk to baby for her milk, this child gets into the problem of getting or cough and cold repeatedly. I advise accordingly how which is the better things and how the winning practice has to be done. Time of a pediatrician, if pediatricians spend a lot of time on the counseling, and my practice I do that, and I enjoy my practice that way. My kids do not fall frequently sick. I see to that they should not fall sick. So this is a very important part. I think pediatrician less, but the counselor more. And for every and then developmental chart of the babies are also very important. Only physical development is not important. No, mental development, social development is also very important and should be concerned.
Right, right. So, doctor, we have the next question. What's your take on the role of crucial micronutrients in pregnancy outcome and also in the child health? So, doctor, do you prefer any crucial micronutrients during the pregnancy and in child health?
Yeah, see, as I said, that not only for the fetus, but also for the mother, okay, calcium is very much important. We have been seeing change in the patterns that used to be coming to us. So preeclampsia is now eclampsia is out. We never see patients coming to us conversing. That is probably because we are into high-end obstetrics, probably because antenatal care is well taken, and women do understand. As I said, that we have to counsel them, and Kalpana ma'am also has said the same thing, that we have to spend time with the women. We have to tell them why is it important for them to take the nutrients, why is it important for them to follow the antenatal clinic, follow the advices. So iron, calcium, folic acid, these are the main three constituents which we keep on giving and we keep on insisting that they take. Obviously, DHA, selenium, zinc are all added on now, and that are also very much important. But as I said, from the time that we have started the practice where women were reluctant to take any sort of medications, to the time they came on to take substandard medications, and now we are seeing good medications coming into the market, and they are really, really being beneficial, because not only the fetus is benefited, but I also see that the mother is benefited, and we are of gestational diabetes, preeclampsias, anemias coming.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, over to you. The same question, that role of crucial micronutrients in child health. So, any specific micronutrient do you prefer in your therapy?
I recommend zinc, magnesium, calcium especially, and these are the things which I definitely recommend, because the rate of child is very high first 6 months and first year actually. And that time if I supplement this, and the kids usually do come for the follow-up for the vaccines that time, and I'm in touch with them more. So role of micronutrients plus all nutrients is very important. I usually tell them, if I store these things to your baby when the child is growing, for this growth, again it will be helpful. So even though don't come for the follow-up after 2 years, the child will be always healthy. So immensely, I do recommend all those preparations when the child is with mother and they are coming for the follow-up. The calcium supplementation, if it is taken, and I hardly see nowadays any anemia. These patients, which we used to see in our college days, and I see each and every child should be healthy if he's coming to me. That is the thing I want to see.
Right, right, ma'am. Ma'am, so we have a next question. Doctor, how have you handled the cases with complications during childbirth and also the cases with poor child development? So can you share a live example where you have seen the patients, where you have seen the complications during childbirth? Dr. Abhay?
Yeah, see, childbirth is, I will say, only 1%. 1% would be threaded with complications, but they are graded complications. And some of the most dangerous, three enemies for the, I will say, for the obstetrician. There is a hypertension, okay? Then there is sepsis and there is anemia. So blood loss, infection, and vascular disease are the most dangerous sort of situations for the obstetrician to face. Of this, I would say placenta accreta, any placental complication, atonic PPH, where the life of the woman hangs by the thread. What I mean is, if I was to tie a vessel that goes to the uterine artery, that goes to the womb, the life of the woman is saved. Otherwise, she can bleed to death because at that point of time, whole of her blood volume is passing through the uterus in about a minute. So the time frame is very less. I've had situations where we had to clamp major vessels going to the uterus and try to control the bleeding and try to save the woman's life. So childbirth is fraught with dangers. It is fraught with a lot of things happening. And we do need a team approach. We need blood banks. We need the state to support. We need the cooperation of the patient, relatives for a successful outcome.
Right. Ma'am, how have you handled the cases with complications where you have seen poor development of children during your day-to-day practice?
Yeah. See, I have to weigh why the poor development is there. Is it just because of the undernourishment or it is something else? See, because as such, our upgradation of the science, because we are getting new science, lot of new technologies are there. So we can intrauterine only we get to know a lot of things. Like we are having high-end machines of the sonography there. We used to first send our patients somewhere else for this. But when the new machines have come here, I can find out this baby is going to have the problem before, after the delivery. Like baby may have the hole in the heart. Maybe the part of the whole brain is not developed properly. Maybe having some lungs problem. And accordingly, I'm prepared before. Okay, how I'm going to take care of this baby during and after the delivery. Because each and every delivery I'm there. So I'm prepared. And usually I prepare mothers also. Oh, and we are going to have these problems. And that time, usually if the child is going to have some problem, which we are going to face it, some multiple bone defects are there, and still they want to continue with the pregnancy. That time we consult super specialist in that faculty. We enroll parents also. Oh, we are going to face this problem. We are going to be with you, and then we tackle this problem. So there is some solution. I don't face directly. Oh, there is a developmental delay, because when I am seeing the child since beginning, I should pick up why there is a problem. And so many times it happens. Oh, this child is not doing well. Then I usually give him the calcium supplement, vitamin D supplement, and I monitor the growth. I ask after 2 months again whether the child is following these milestones or not. So that vigilance of a pediatrician is very important. The child should not be in the delay phase. Like when the child is getting less mark in the maths, only that time mother should know, oh, my child requires a tuition. She should not see the red card and see, oh, my child has failed in the maths. So that way, my job is when my child may get less marks, so I should be very vigilant that time only. So I don't wait for the delay and deterioration of the health.
Right, right. Doctor, next question that we have is, Doctor, the question is for Dr. Abhay, that what is the role of calcium and magnesium supplementation in mothers?
Very important. As I said, calcium and magnesium, you have to think not only in terms of the fetus, but for the mothers, because recent studies have shown that preeclampsia, gestational diabetes, okay, premature rupture of membranes, premature deliveries, all have been brought down. Now we don't know. As I said, this is multifactorial. This is a gestalt. Many things are working together, but certainly, apart from infection, let us say premature preterm premature rupture of membranes. Now, yes, bacteria are going to cause. There are bacterioid species which are known to cause preterm premature rupture of membranes. To prevent that, we do give sanitation advice. We do give good hygiene advice. Okay, to see that these species are not there. But apart from that, we also need to know that the membrane should not leak, that there should not be premature rupture of membrane. So the immunity of the woman should be good, and she should have good, strong immune system. And also, we have seen this happening many times, that giving of this supplement have brought down this infection and the complication rates.
Dr. Kalpana, we have a question for you, that what are the benefits of supplementation of combination of calcium and phosphorus in children?
So proper growth development of the babies, they require the more of the calcium. Not only the calcium, magnesium and the phosphorus is also important in their supplementation. And I do recommend and I advise them at least first 1,000 days we have to supplement those things, and their role is should not be questioned only. They have to be given for the babies. Nowadays we are diet and whatever the food we are getting, we can't say whatever the milk we are getting from the market is getting calcium. We don't recommend that. We don't believe on that. You may be taking it for your test, but it doesn't contain calcium.
Right. The next question is common for both of you doctors. So doctor, what are the solutions so that we can ensure a healthier and more equitable future for the next generation of mothers and children?
See, we evolved from, let us say, 75,000 years. Okay, and we have now come to this stage. We came up with agriculture, we came up with mechanization, today we have technology, and every sort of change that we brought in has brought in new set of diseases. So let's be very clear that generations before me, or let us say my grandfathers or my 4 great grandfathers or whoever I have been my descendant from, probably never faced the diseases that we are facing today. It's well known that psychiatric illnesses started when the machines came in, because we no longer could compete with the machines and we had to accept our defeat in front of the machines. So all said and done, technology is going faster. We are getting into artificial intelligence. So down the line, we are going to face more number of problems. We are going to face more number of issues. And what is the thing that we have to do now? We have to see to it that we still, in spite of all these things happening, we are going in infrared rays, we are manipulating the electromagnetic waves, and that's always happening. The effects are going to be on us. Remember, we are Homo sapiens and we are running people, or we are men who walk. So the best part for all of us is, apart from diet, we also have to have exercise, we have to have good thoughts, we have to stay with good people, we have to nurture a good society. We know what's happening around, as I mentioned about Afghanistan. We know what's happening there. Only because the whole society is not now developing, we can't expect individuals to develop in a good health there. So apart from individual health, we have to look at social health, and also I may touch a little bit on the spiritual health, because spiritual health has now been accepted by WHO, and we know that Adibhautik, Adhyatmik and Adidevik, all 3 aspects of human living are very much important, and they'll always be important in the generations to come. They have always been there for the generations who live behind me. So for me, my advice would be, we should be living as a whole. We should look at life as a whole rather than looking at it as a part. We should look at our, I'll say, life as part of That is, nutrients, exercise, thought, state, society, community, and we are a part of it. That's my advice.
Ma'am, your views on the same?
My views are also same. And first, I think as a mother, she should follow the things, and she should not only advise. She should, the kid should see the child and understand what he has to do. So first thing, she has to change herself. She has to properly behave accordingly. That we call this she had to sanskar is something which mother can give to child for not only the nutrition but the sanskars. And the sanskar is not what she talks, what she behaves, how she behaves in a difficult situation. So she should be the example for her kids.
Right. So we have the next question. So doctor, what kind of diet and supplementation do you suggest to your patients? So Dr. Abhay.
That, as I said, whatever the cultural practices, I talk to them, I find out. Basically, when I look at the report card, when I look at the blood status, when I look at the investigations, I can see that whatever diet they're eating is good enough or not. Because there are so many cultural practices, there are so many diets that are there, we just can't force one on the other. But what I basically tell them is to eat what they have been eating because it has worked for them. It has made them into an adult. Okay. And if I find something which is not good, okay, I try to rectify. Let's say eating a lot of amount of sugars or eating a lot of products that are causing, I'll say, inflammation in the body. I may rather change it a little bit. But otherwise, I may not interfere too much into the diet. But yes, supplementations, I would then ask for them to, as I said, the routine supplementations that I give, that are the part of my prescription and part of my therapy and management for them, because I want a healthy mother so that at the point of parturition, at the point of delivery, I am not faced with issues like facing infection, blood loss, and hypertension.
Right. Dr. Kalpana, what kind of diet and additional supplement do you prefer in children?
Depends, again, it will depend upon the weight and age of the child. And he should not be again bulging the food. He should able to chew properly, eat the food. He should enjoy the food. And again, the environment plays a very important role for the kids. The child should not sit in front of TV and munch something. And he should be also playful. He should be active and playful. Basically, not only the height and weight doesn't matter. The how child feels again very important. So the environment, nutrition, exercises, and the future, surrounding is very important. So not only food, but accordingly we have to see what type of food it is required. But the homemade food is very important.
Right, right. Lastly, doctor, what is the main message that you would like the audience to take away? Dr. Abhay?
The main message is life is beautiful. You can make it beautiful more. You can live life fully, but you must be aware of different factors, okay, because they together make a life. Just by eating the right nutrients, I pop in a pill and I should be healthy. It doesn't happen. Okay, I must have good thoughts. I must be kind to others so that others are kind to me, because remembering what goes out comes back. Okay, I must have a healthy relationship with myself, with the people around, with my state, with my country, with the world, so that it becomes a beautiful place for all of us to live in. Okay, we must focus more on that. Try to stay away from depression, try to stay away from drugs, try to stay away from all negative things happening. Try to bring back positive, because positive will again increase positive. Good people come in your life. You be good, so good people come in life, and be nice to others. That's it.
Yes. Dr. Kalpana?
Same here.
Okay. On behalf of Mayo Vita Biotics, I would like to thank Dr. Abhay Shetty and Dr. Kalpana Shetty for such an insightful session. And it was indeed a thought-provoking session from fetal life to childhood, covering on all the aspects of nutrition in this first 1,000 days. I once again thank all the delegates who are attending this webinar and are being the active participant for this webinar. It was a great honor for me to moderate this session. And I also thank Mayo Vita Biotics for providing such kind of sessions, arranging this wonderful, informative and session for the same. Thank you, doctors.
I also would like to thank Mayor Organics, and I would also like to thank the participants for being with us, for allowing us to share our views and to be with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, doctors.
Thank you.